Well, hello. Welcome again to another reaction video. I'm glad you're joining me here. I'm Dolores, and I got some real true story for you that is not good, but it's something we must watch and maybe we can, learn from it, something. And this video is really adult content. It has to do with being in loving some man that's in prison. And being I used to be a correction officer, I got a whole lot to say about this right here. We're going to learn something from this video about dealing with incarcerated men, dating, because this is really some sucker shit that went on in this video that led to some murder. All right, let's get into this video. That's the only name I could think of for right now. Look at this sweet, pretty lady. Shouldn't deserve none of this. None of what y'all about to see. And I will be pausing from time to time to talk about it. All right, let's get going.
In October 2024, a young mother sent a series of desperate text messages to her friends, showing them fresh bruises and bite marks. These weren't just signs of abuse. They were warnings of a meticulously planned revenge plot that had been in motion for months. Mary Jayne Collins, 23, thought she had found love.
23.
Instead, she had walked straight into a trap set by a man who spent 4 months pretending to care for her, all while plotting to destroy her. The truth would emerge through a chilling video call that captured her boyfriend taunting a prison inmate, followed by the sound of a child crying. Hours later, Mary Jayne Collins was dead. But this wasn't a simple case of domestic violence. This was revenge. Cold, calculated revenge against the father of her children. Her new boyfriend hadn't chosen her by chance. He had selected her specifically, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The reason? A 4-year-old murder case that connected all of them in ways Mary Jayne never knew until it was too late. Mary Jayne Collins was more than just another victim. She was a devoted 23-year-old mother of 2 boys under 10. Living in Seabrook, Texas, she had recently moved into the Teakwood apartment complex, hoping to build a better life for her children. Friends described her as resilient and loving, always putting her sons first, despite the challenges of young motherhood. She worked hard to provide for her family, even maintaining a relationship with her children's father, Michael King, after his incarceration, to ensure her boys had that connection. In June 2024, when she met
had one baby daddy, which is Michael King, to her 2 kids. Okay. Oops. What did I do? What did I do?
followed by the sound of a child crying. Hours later, Mary Jayne Collins was dead. But this wasn't a simple case of domestic violence. This was revenge. Cold, calculated revenge against the father of her children.
Okay.
Her new boyfriend hadn't chosen her by chance. He had selected her specifically, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The reason? A 4-year-old murder case that connected all of them in ways Mary Jayne never knew until it was too late.
It's crazy.
Mary Jayne Collins was more than just another victim. She was a devoted 23-year-old mother of 2 boys under 10. Living in Seabrook, Texas, she had recently moved into the Teakwood apartment complex, hoping to build a better life for her children. Friends described her as resilient and loving, always putting her sons first, despite the challenges of young motherhood. She worked hard to provide for her family, even maintaining a relationship with her children's father, Michael King, after his incarceration, to ensure her boys had that connection. In June 2024, when she met Dawayland Hurst, Mary Jayne believed she had found someone who would help her create the stable family life she dreamed of. She had no way of knowing that this relationship would lead to her death. Before we delve deeper into this devastating story, I need your help with something important. Cases like Mary Jayne's often go untold, but together we can change that.
Okay, yes.
If you've ever known someone affected by domestic violence, or if this story has touched you, leave a comment below with a heart emoji.
That's for sure.
Your comment could help someone else feel less alone. This video contains crucial information about recognizing dangerous relationship patterns. Share it with someone who might need to hear this story. It could save a life.
Make everybody aware.
Hit that like button to help this reach more people, and subscribe to join our true crime community where we bring attention to cases that matter. Let me know in the comments, what would you do if you discovered someone close to you was in an abusive relationship? By early 2024, Mary Jayne Collins had established a routine at the Teakwood apartment complex in Seabrook, Texas. Each morning, she'd wake her 2 young boys, get them ready for school, and head to work, carrying the responsibilities of single motherhood on her shoulders. Her apartment, though modest, was filled with evidence of a mother's love. Children's drawings on the fridge, toys carefully organized in corners, and photos of her son's milestones covering the walls. Those who knew Mary Jayne spoke of her determination. At just 23, she had already weathered significant challenges, having her first child while still a teenager. Yet instead of letting this derail her dreams, she worked harder, ensuring her children never felt the weight of their circumstances. She maintained open communication with both fathers of her children, believing that despite past relationships ending, her boys deserved to know their heritage and family history. Her grandmother's house became a weekend sanctuary for the family. Here, Mary Jayne's boys would play in the yard while she shared her hopes and dreams with her grandmother. She spoke of wanting to return to school, of plans to move into a bigger apartment, and of her dedication to giving her sons the stable, loving home she envisioned. What made her story particularly poignant was how close she had come to achieving these goals before everything changed. Michael King's path crossed with Mary Jayne's story long before her death, first as the father of one of her children, and later as an unwitting catalyst in the tragedy that would unfold. By 2024, King was serving time for a murder that would eventually connect all the pieces of this devastating puzzle. The story traced back to July 31st, 2020 in Texas City. On that day, King, then 20 years old, took the life of a young man named Dawayland Triplett. The details of that murder rocked the local community, leading to King's swift arrest and conviction. While behind bars, King maintained contact with his child through video calls, attempting to be present in his son's life despite his incarceration. Before his imprisonment, King had built a complex relationship with Mary Jayne. Though their romantic connection had ended, they worked to maintain a civil co-parenting relationship for their son's sake. Mary Jayne never spoke ill of King to their child, believing that despite his crimes, their son deserved to form his own opinions about his father. She regularly facilitated video calls between father and son, maintaining this connection even after King's incarceration. What no one could have predicted was how King's past actions would eventually lead to Mary Jayne's death. The murder he committed in 2020 set in motion a chain of events that would take 4 years.
I'm just messing up here. Look, so she doing everything that you don't know a good woman, good mom would try to do when in this situation, take their children to see their father, stay in touch and send them a picture. Yeah, take some pictures and no problem. But this is how creepy this shit is getting now, that ladies, you got to be careful about your pictures going into prison, because these inmates, obviously, they be on the hunt on some get back shit. Okay? We're going to finish watching this, and I'm going to show you some, this ain't nothing but some, what I call it, some bullshit. Some real bullshit right here. Some sucker shit. Hold up. Let's get back.
Years to reach their tragic conclusion. The video calls he made from prison would later become crucial evidence in understanding the final hours of Mary Jayne's life. The morning Dawayland Hurst first approached Mary Jayne Collins at a local convenience store marked the beginning of her final 4 months alive. He struck up a conversation while she was buying snacks for her children, commenting on the character logos on the packages and sharing a story about his own childhood favorites.
Straight second.
Mary Jayne, touched by his easy way with her boys who were with her that morning, found herself drawn into conversation. What appeared to be a chance meeting was anything but. Hurst had been watching Mary Jayne for weeks, learning her routines, noting when she usually shopped and which store she frequented. He knew which car she drove, where she lived, and most importantly, who her children's father was. That morning, he arranged to be at the store at precisely the right time, carrying the right conversation topics to seem relatable and safe. Within days, he began appearing at places Mary Jayne frequented, creating more accidental meetings until she came to expect and welcome his presence.
And that right there, could happen to anybody. That whole scenario where he said that he's showing up in places she frequent. Sometimes guys do that when they like a girl. I'm not going to put all guys in this situation, but you know what, ladies? We got to be more careful that if he likes you, he need to go ahead and say something. Don't keep showing up because this shit is starting to sound creepy as fuck. And nowadays, we can't be like that out here anymore because these motherfuckers are crazy. All right? If a man keeps showing up everywhere you go, if he ain't man enough to come say, I like you on the spot, hey, take a picture of him somehow and let somebody know he creeping me out. All right? Let's get back to this because this just keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse.
The first months of Mary Jayne and Hurst's relationship painted a picture of normalcy that fooled everyone around them. Hurst masterfully played the role of the devoted boyfriend, showing up at her apartment with home-cooked meals and offering to help with childcare. He'd sit through Disney movies with her boys, help with homework, and even volunteered to drive them to school.
Ladies, if this is not a warning that the men you date should not be around your children, I don't know what is. Okay, we need to take things back to the basics, back to old school dating. All right? No kids for a long, long time. We can see how creepy this shit is getting out here online. I think these messages, this video, this horrible story is a message for us to tell somebody to make them more aware of the new criminals that's out there hunting women down. Oh, like hunters. All right? No more kids. Don't let nobody see your kids. Don't even let them see your house. Don't let them get comfortable in your house at all, period. Because once you let a man in your house and he start getting comfortable, you're going to have to fight him to get him out. Don't let him get comfortable in your house. Okay, you need to let him stand on his own 2 feet so you'll have some kind of leeway to say, nah, we ain't cool no more. All right? Because this is just going to keep getting worse. Hold up.
Friends observed how Hurst seemed to understand the challenges of dating a single mother. He respected when Mary Jayne needed to focus on her children and appeared supportive of her maintaining a co-parenting relationship with her children's fathers. He even encouraged her to keep up the video calls between her son and Michael King, despite privately harboring his true feelings about these connections. On social media, Mary Jayne shared photos of happy moments, Hurst teaching her eldest son to ride a bike, family picnics at the park, and quiet evenings at home. Her grandmother later recalled how Mary Jayne had spoken of finally finding someone who...
So I almost thought this was cap by the fact that if she's showing pictures of this man on social media, her baby daddy should have seen it by now and knew who that is. But I guess not, because this is a true story. But I don't know about all that picture showing and the baby daddy or nobody knew who this man was. Let's see.
Who understood that her children came first in her life. By late August, subtle changes in Mary Jayne's behavior caught the attention of those closest to her. Her usual Thursday coffee dates with friends became sporadic, often canceled at the last minute with vague excuses. Her once active social media accounts grew quiet, with fewer posts about her daily life and children. The first physical evidence appeared when Mary Jayne visited her grandmother with a bite mark on her face. She brushed it off as a playful accident, but her grandmother noticed how she flinched when Hurst called during their visit. That same week, a friend spotted Mary Jayne at the grocery store, wearing a long-sleeved shirt in 90-degree Texas heat. Text messages to friends began showing a pattern. Mary Jayne would share photos of bruises or marks, followed quickly by messages asking them not to worry or tell anyone. She explained them away as accidents, bumping into doors, falling while cleaning, playing too roughly with the kids. But her friends noticed something else. These accidents only seemed to happen when Hurst was around. September brought a sharp escalation in Hurst's behavior that Mary Jayne could no longer hide. During a birthday party for her youngest son, friends noticed how Hurst constantly hovered nearby, monitoring her conversations. When Mary Jayne spent too long chatting with a neighbor, he grabbed her arm so hard it left finger-shaped bruises. Her phone calls to friends became whispered conversations from bathroom stalls or quick calls during her lunch break. In these moments, she revealed more disturbing details. Hurst had begun threatening her children, claiming he would hurt them if she told anyone about the abuse. She sent photos showing scratches across her back, bruises on her arms, and a swollen eye, each image accompanied by frightened texts begging friends not to call the police. By early October, Mary Jayne's coworkers reported seeing her arrive at work with visible injuries. She began missing shifts, calling in sick more frequently. When she did come to work, she wore heavy makeup and kept her head down. The final week of her life, she confided in her grandmother, "If anything happens to me, look at Hurst. He's not who we thought he was." The truth about Dawayland Hurst emerged through a connection no one had initially seen.
What?
Hidden beneath his facade of caring boyfriend lay a devastating link to Mary Jayne's past. Hurst was the half-brother of Dawayland triplet, the man Michael King had killed in 2020. This wasn't just a relationship gone wrong. It was revenge, 4 years in the making. Every moment Hurst spent with Mary Jayne and her children had been part of his plan to strike back at King. He had deliberately sought out the mother of King's child, knowing that hurting her would cause King the same pain he felt when his brother died. The timing of their chance meeting at the convenience store, his interest in her children.
Oh, this is on some new shit right here. This right here is on some new shit right here. See, because, ladies, you gotta think about it. This man's baby daddy actions caused her to lose her life because he was in jail with this man who waited 4 years to get out to do this revenge on him. That right there is some new level shit. That is some new level shit right here. So it ain't gonna be no hippie hoppity thing to date a criminal nowadays, because your criminals who got enemies, they like get back too. And they liable to come get back at the ladies. This is where this shit is starting to go, because this is some sucker shit, but we got a lot of suckers out there who would do it. Who would do it by, they can't get to the man, they'll get to the family or the girl he loved, hurt them somehow to get to that man they hate. Maybe they had a fight in jail, something could have happened where that he took his money, his goods, anything, and they coming out on some revenge shit. So, dating a criminal with a past gotta be a second thought. I'm gonna start rethinking that shit. Rethinking that, like, man, rethinking this. Let's keep going.
His encouragement of the prison video calls, all were calculated steps in his vengeful scheme. Police later discovered that Hurst had spent months researching Mary Jayne before approaching her. He knew her routines, her struggles as a single mother, and most crucially, her connection to King. While Mary Jayne worked to maintain a peaceful co-parenting relationship with her children's father, Hurst silently plotted how to use this very connection to execute his revenge. At this moment, I need to pause this devastating revelation to address something crucial. Revenge can destroy multiple lives, creating ripples of tragedy that affect innocent people, especially children. If this story has impacted you, take a moment to share it with others who need to hear this warning. Hit that like button if you believe these stories need to be told to raise awareness about hidden dangers in relationships. Subscribe to join our community dedicated to preventing similar tragedies through education and awareness. I'm curious, what warning signs did you notice in Hurst's behavior? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight could help someone recognize dangerous patterns in their own life.
Well, I didn't notice any warning signs in the way he told this story, but I believe there was probably some sign that she probably recognized right away, but it was too late. You don't let this man get comfortable in your house, all around your children, all around your family. He done said he calling you his woman, you calling him your man, and y'all done made a commitment, and now he crazy as hell, and you can't get rid of him. We want to start taking shit back to the basics of just straight dating. None of this shacking up shit. These motherfuckers is real crazy. And it only takes less than 90 days for them to start showing their true colors, and now he in your house around your kids. This is too much.
Or the life of someone they love.
They're killing us.
October 4th, 2024 began as an ordinary Thursday at the Teakwood apartment complex. At 7:30 a.m., neighbors reported seeing Mary Jayne taking her children to school, returning alone to her apartment shortly after. Security cameras captured Hurst arriving at the complex at 8:15 a.m., carrying what appeared to be breakfast, a routine he had established over the past months. By 9 a.m., Mary Jayne had made several calls to friends, her voice tense during these brief conversations. Text messages from her phone showed she had tried reaching out to family members, though most messages went unsent, deleted, before completion. At 10 a.m., she picked up her children early from school, claiming a family emergency. The next hour proved critical. Between 10:30 and 11 a.m., multiple neighbors reported hearing raised voices from Mary Jayne's apartment. At 11:15 a.m., a video call connected from the prison where Michael King was incarcerated. What happened during this call would set in motion the final, fatal sequence of events. The video call at 11:15 a.m. captured the moment Hurst dropped his facade entirely. As King connected to speak with his son, Hurst deliberately moved into frame, positioning himself behind the child. The footage, later recovered by investigators, showed Hurst's calculated transformation from pretend father figure to revealed tormentor. "Remember me?" Hurst taunted King, his voice carrying none of the warmth he'd previously shown the children.
That's crazy.
"Remember what you took from me?" In the background, Mary Jayne could be heard trying to intervene, her voice rising with panic as she realized the danger. The call captured her desperate attempts to protect her child. "No, get away, baby, no, get away from him." Then came the sound that would haunt everyone who later viewed the footage. The sharp crack of Hurst striking King's son, followed by the child's cry of pain and confusion. Mary Jayne's scream filled the background as she rushed to shield her child. The video call ended abruptly, cutting off just as Hurst turned toward Mary Jayne. The next moments in apartment 247 turned fatal. At 11:30 a.m., neighbors heard what they thought was a gunshot. Multiple calls flooded emergency services, with residents reporting screams followed by complete silence. First responders arrived within minutes, but they were already too late. When police entered the apartment, they found a scene that contradicted initial reports. There was no gunshot wound. Instead, the Harris County medical examiner would later confirm that Mary Jayne Collins died from blunt force trauma and a single stab wound. The murder weapon, a kitchen knife, was found in the sink, recently washed. The apartment showed signs of a desperate struggle. Furniture was overturned, a coffee table shattered. Mary Jayne had fought for her life, evident from defensive wounds on her hands and arms. A broken phone lay in the corner, its screen cracked from impact. Her final attempted call for help never completed. The most chilling discovery came from the apartment's security camera footage. It showed Hurst leaving calmly through a back exit, taking an evasive path through neighboring properties. The most heartrending aspect of this tragedy was that Mary Jayne's 2 young sons were present during their mother's final moments. Found huddled together in their bedroom closet by first responders, the boys had followed what their mother had screamed at them to do: hide and stay quiet. The older child, barely 9 years old, had covered his younger brother's ears and eyes, trying to shield him from the sounds coming from the living room. When officers found them, the older boy was still whispering comforting words to his brother, repeating what his mother had always told them: everything will be okay. The impact of witnessing such trauma would require long-term professional support for both children. The older son, who had watched the video call confrontation and his mother's desperate attempt to protect them, carried the additional burden of having seen Hurst's true nature revealed.
This is horrible.
Both boys were taken into the immediate care of their grandmother, who would later describe their night terrors and fear of closed doors. Their presence that day added another layer to Hurst's cruelty. He had chosen to act while knowing the children were home, making them witnesses to their mother's murder. The investigation into Mary Jayne Collins' murder began immediately, with detectives focusing on the discrepancy between reported gunshots and the actual cause of death. The initial assessment at the scene revealed that Mary Jayne had died from blunt force trauma and a stab wound, not gunfire, as neighbors had reported. Detectives quickly identified Dawayland Hurst as their primary suspect, piecing together the connection between him and Michael King through database records. The prison video call provided crucial evidence documenting Hurst's presence in the apartment and his violent behavior just before the murder. Investigators discovered that Hurst had planned this crime meticulously. They found evidence that he had researched Mary Jayne's routine months before approaching her, including notes about her schedule and her children's activities. The investigation also revealed that Hurst had created multiple social media accounts to monitor Mary Jayne's online activity before ever meeting her, proving the premeditated nature of his actions. The evidence against Hurst mounted quickly. His own digital footprint provided investigators with crucial proof of his calculated plan. Text messages recovered from Mary Jayne's phone showed a pattern of increasing control and threats. Photos she had sent to friends documented the progression of abuse, complete with timestamps and locations. The prison video call became key evidence, recording not only Hurst's assault on King's son, but also Mary Jayne's voice in the background, proving he was the last person with her. Security cameras at Teakwood Apartments captured Hurst's arrival that morning and his departure after the murder, showing him changing his clothes and discarding items in various dumpsters. In Mary Jayne's apartment, investigators found Hurst's DNA throughout, including under her fingernails, indicating her fierce struggle for survival. They also discovered a series of notebooks where Mary Jayne had documented instances of abuse, including dates and descriptions. Her final entry was dated October 3rd, just 1 day before her murder, reading, "He knows something about Michael. He's not who he says he is." After the murder, Hurst vanished from Seabrook, triggering a 3-week manhunt. Security footage showed him leaving the apartment complex on foot, taking a winding path through residential areas, changing direction multiple times to avoid main roads. He had clearly planned his escape route, avoiding areas with cameras. For 24 days, Hurst moved between locations, using cash only and staying off social media. He reached out to no one, not even family members. However, his efforts to stay hidden were ultimately futile. On October 28, 2024, a tip led authorities to Texas City, where they found Hurst hiding in a motel room under a false name. The arrest itself was swift and without incident.
Good.
When officers entered his room, they found evidence suggesting he was preparing to leave the country. Fake identification documents and a large amount of cash. In his possession.
I had about enough of that. Look. Look, this right here, it was a real horrible story. But we gotta talk about it. We gotta watch it. It's out here for us to watch and learn from it, that there's a lot of tricks being played out here. That is some new shit. I've never thought that somebody's ops will come out of prison and retaliate on the girlfriend and the children on a get back shit. Some men in prison, I worked in prison, they have a code of no family allowed, but this right here is on some sucker shit for sure. Sucker shit, because this right here could start a major war if he was really affiliated with somebody, some gang, and he's attacking children and the ops family like that. This is wild, but this makes you think though. To deal with a man that is living that life, you want to think twice that his ops, they be on some get back shit, and you only can lock him up once, and once he's locked up, he's locked up. Now you're walking around free in the neighborhood where he done terrorized, and you thinking that they ain't gonna be on some get back shit on you. I'll be a little afraid myself. I'll be pretty afraid. I don't like that kind of energy on me. So this story is a horrible story, but it needed to be told. This is some sucker shit that people's on. Please, if you found this video disturbingly interesting, please hit the subscribe button. I hate to have to bring out this kind of video from time to time, but I gotta let y'all know because I'll be watching them to figure out what's going on in the world. What is why is black men killing and stabbing black women and women in general everywhere? But the stories I'm hearing, I guess we're just hearing it a lot more, but stabbings and shooting, and they're young. This is crazy. So I'm trying to figure out what is the triggering moments here, and I can't figure it out because all of them is just wild. It's just really wild for no reason, killing for no reason. So just stay with me, and we're gonna figure this out together. And I appreciate your time, and I thank you. I'll talk to you later.